James Grande.
What is going on, everybody? John Impemba here with Colby, Conway, bringing you another edition of the Better Baseball MLB DFS Playbook Show here for Tuesday's 12-game main slate. Colby, my friend, how are we doing?
Doing good. Another week of the NFL season has passed. We're in the fantasy baseball playoffs. Maybe some leagues are in the championship, or if you're in season-long roto leagues, we're just down the stretch run.
Yep.
And this is a tough time for DFS, John, I'll be honest, because, we got opener after opener, long relief, more than it seems like, especially coming down the end of the stretch here, it's going to be more and more. So really got to dive into the numbers and the matchups on these slates.
Yeah, 100%. And you start seeing some guys get sat, rested, shut down for the year, things like that started coming down. For teams that are no longer competitive, they give some of the younger players more playing time over some of the veterans to see what they could have. And you mentioned some of these starters may start seeing themselves having some limitations for teams that are getting ready for their playoff run. So a lot to talk about today. We got 12 games. Those of you who are joining in now, if you have any questions for tonight, feel free to throw them in chat. Colby and I are more than happy to help you guys tonight and answer your questions if you got them. Before we do break down the DraftKings main slate, a quick shout out to our friends over at RT Sports. If you go to rtsports.com/alarm, promo code alarm23, new users will get that 100% deposit match up to $200. You can click the QR code, scan the QR code on the screen, or go to rtsports.com/alarm to take advantage of everything that is going on over at RT Sports. So let's go take a look now at the DraftKings main slate for this evening. Here again, 12 games on the board. Quick look. I know when we did the podcast show this morning, we maybe had a little worry about some weather forecasting, but nothing overly concerning. Could see some rain to start in the Pittsburgh-Chicago game. Same thing around the Cleveland-Kansas City game. Could be some early rain around there, but overall not expected to be too much of an issue when it comes to playing time. We do have wind right to left in Chicago, so maybe a little boost to some bats there, but overall no real danger of a washout at worst, maybe an early delay, but should be good to go from there.
Yeah, and it's one of those things too, like with the games that do have some of the weather, really Javier Assad, the only pitcher that we'd probably be somewhat interested in doing. So bats for that, I'm not really worried about. I think we can play them as usual. And if you are going to go with Javier Assad as one of your arms, you can do it. I think we'll be okay. But I don't think you'll have to go all the way down to Javier Assad with the pitching options tonight.
I would agree with you. Definitely much better pitching options on the 12-gamer than we had on the Monday 8-gamer. So let's get into that pitching. We have Strider at 12.8, Castillo at 11.3, Blake Snell at 10.6 is your top three price guys. You and I talked about it last night. We kind of keyed right in on Blake Snell, and Vegas is sort of in with us here. If you go look at his earned runs prop tonight, they have it listed minus 130 on the under 1.5 earned runs allowed. That is, you almost never see a minus prop there under the 1.5. Snell getting a lot of love. His strikeout prop set at 8.5 this evening. So no reason to spend all the way up if you don't have to. Tonight, Snell is where we find ourselves looking to start.
It's going to be tough. I would like at the end when we go ahead and build a lineup, I would love to try to build a lineup with like a Castillo Snell 1-2. Very expensive, but I'd love to try it and see how it comes out. I think those two stand above the rest in that top 3 to 4. I can make a case for all of them. I do like Zach Gallen a good bit too. So like he's interesting, but I think tonight you're paying up for pitching. Some of the options in the mid tier just get a little iffy. So I would love to try like a Castillo Snell or a Castillo Gallen or a Snell Gallen. I think that'd be a really interesting build for tonight's slate.
Yeah, he is on a 12-game slate. Blake Snell is far and away the highest projected rostered pitcher in terms of ownership tonight. We're talking over 40%. So you almost never see on a 12-game slate that much consolidation when it comes to pitching. Maybe it's a reason to fade Snell in a couple of lineups if you're building them here tonight, just in case on a large slate. He does have one of those 5-inning, 6-walk games, where maybe this time he actually allows some earned runs, but the top two guys you just mentioned are the top two projected rostered pitchers, Snell and Castillo, 1, 2. And then it goes down to the guy that we mentioned on the show for some value. Mark Pitts wrote him up in the Value Vault article as well. That's Clark Schmidt. People are spending up, and then they're trying to find that value starting pitcher. Clark Schmidt coming in around 15% when it comes to the rostership. Talked about his success against right-handed hitters. We talked about how there aren't many lefties in the lineup for Toronto. Cavan Biggio, Dalton Varsho, Kevin Kiermaier really it with Brandon Belt on IL. So people are playing Clark Schmidt here this evening to help them spend up as on the pitching.
Well, and those three lefties that you mentioned are the only ones that crack the lineup. And it's one of those things when you look at with how bad Dalton Varsho has been this year, Cavan Biggio has a longer track record of not being as great in the majors than he is being pretty good. And Biggio's hitting 4th, Varsho's hitting 6th, Kiermaier's hitting 9th. So despite Toronto knowing the struggles, they just don't have the lefties to run out there. And they're going to send Biggio out hitting cleanup. Varsho's going to hit 6th. And if Clark Schmidt can handle the righties, which is, 2/3 of this lineup, he's going to be just fine. I do think the Yankees will give him a couple runs. His chances for a win tonight are not all that bad. So with his price point, it's hard for him not to be the top value arm.
Yeah, everybody's going there. And then surprisingly enough, though, everybody's playing Castillo as well. Blackburn is right behind him. We talked about Paul Blackburn, his success. And then Dan Silverdidio on the Better Sports Betting Show talked about Seattle's struggles against right-handed pitching over the last, couple of weeks here. So people are playing down 67 for Blackburn, 73 for Schmidt. And nobody's really getting any mid-tier love. The only mid-tier pitcher with any sort of ownership is Ryan Pepio against Detroit.
Yep, and I think Pepio's they're going to run an opener out there, so one less inning for him to get the win. So I think that could be interesting. And Servo's got a good point. Seattle against righties, 232 average, 303 WOBA over the last 2 weeks. Now Blackburn's chances for a win are greatly diminished with Castillo on the mound for Seattle, but I like Blackburn a good bit, and that lineup isn't overly menacing. I think, to say the least. It's just going to be hard to comfortably play him knowing that he's going up against Castillo and his odds for a win are just insane on Castillo's front.
You mean, again, very capable of Blackburn going out there and giving you 18 fantasy points without the win, but it's not great, right? You really need him to get that W. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see how we go ahead and build our lineups. Just for the talking point here, if you wanted to go Castillo style, that gives you 3,500 a play to keep in mind as we go across these positions and where we may be looking to go. We haven't even mentioned Spencer Strider. So he is the top price pitcher. Nobody's really getting to him here on the slate. He is currently, where is he? I don't even see him on the projections here. He's like that low. Like nobody is playing Spencer Strider tonight. So talk to me about your thoughts here. Any interest at all on Strider here at 12.8?
I mean, it's not often that you get Strider at a real low ownership.
I think he's going to be like 3%.
Yeah.
Would you play a 3% Strider?
I think you almost have to. I mean, you can look over the last 2 weeks. I mean, like Philly does have a 203 ISO against righties, and their 801 OPS is 5th best.
Sure.
But they're still striking out 24% of the time. And it's one of those things where, like, I'm a sucker for numbers. Don't get me wrong. I can sometimes be a victim to the numbers, but at a certain point, like talent's going to play.
Mm-hmm.
And like Snell's on this slate, Castillo's there too, but like not many dudes in this game have 15 plus strikeout upside.
Right.
Strider does regardless of who he faces. I mean, when you go look, what's his Vegas prop at tonight for strikeouts? Probably 9.5, probably.
Yeah, I'll pull it up.
It seems like that's where he is every time. So it's like, if you're going to say Vegas is saying an over-under of 9.5, so let's say Vegas gets it perfect and he goes under, but he gets 9 strikeouts, you're going to get this guy at a couple of percentage points. You got to consider it. I think I don't know if I'll be doing it like a cash game builds, probably won't be getting there, but if the ownership is going to be that low based on what we have it projected as, you got to throw him in a couple of GPPs.
It's set at 8.5, but it's minus 155 on the over. For example, Blake Snell also sit at 8.5, but it's minus 140. So again, a little bit more juice on the over for Strider than Snell. Both of them tie for the highest strikeout point on the slate, though, by a considerable amount this evening.
I mean, and at a couple percentage points. I mean, like, think about it. Snell and Strider both get 9 strikeouts. Just we'll put it at 9. Snell at like 1,000% owned and Strider at like 5% owned.
Right.
I mean, that could be a way to, it's weird to say Strider could be your pathway to differentiation with your lineup, but that's kind of what we're looking at, to be honest.
Certainly could be the case here tonight. All right, over at the catcher position here, do we have an opener for the Cardinals? No, Rom just out there pitching. He's the guy they're going with, 5 innings last time out. Good to see, because we do have a great spot here then, going with Contreras against Rom here at 51.
Yep. I do like him. I think catcher, as a former catcher, it pains me to say there's only a couple of options I think that I'm really looking at tonight. Contreras being one of them. Whenever a righty's up against Cal Raleigh, we have to consider him, even though we just kind of talked up Blackburn. Or you go down a little bit, and if he finds the lineup, even though it's not a lefty, I mean, we can't ignore what Luis Campusano is doing right now. He's just hitting everybody. So those are the kind of the three main catchers I'm looking at personally. If you have the money, which we probably won't if we're paying up for two of the top 3 or 4 starters, William Contreras is my top catcher. But in terms of value, I'd probably have to drop to like Cal Raleigh or Luis Campusano.
Yeah, we do have Yan Gomes at 34 against Bailey Falter. We do like Yan Gomes against lefties. I'm in on everybody against Jose Urena here, so certainly could be a way to go here as well. I'm trying to see. And then Mark brings in his punt play for Drew Millas here against Urena. Also a spot. Could be. Again, he's been pretty good lately at $2,600. I could find myself getting all the way down here. Again, I'm in on stacking up against Urania here this evening. So.
And the other way you could go too is if you go Cleveland, you could go Bo Naylor behind the dish, and then you run out both Naylors because Kansas City's doing an opener who can't get lefties out, and then the guy they're bringing in for, and then it's the other guy. Then they bring in Marsh, who also can't get lefties out. So it's a beautiful night for the Cleveland left-handers, to say the least.
I like it. Move over to first base. So we do have a Cleveland left-hander we can touch upon, but you got Olsen and Bellinger both up here against an opener for Philly. Sanchez isn't going to be their main guy here. Bellinger does get the Falter spot. Freeman versus Diaz, Harper, Strider, Paul Goldschmidt gets McGill. Are you looking to spend up at all at first base, or do you find yourself going somewhere else here tonight?
Probably not spending up above 5,000. If I was going to go up there, the one I do like is actually Cody Bellinger.
Okay.
Falter's got some reverse splits, and Bellinger hits lefties very well. So I think he's one that I would look at. But really, I'm hanging out. The highest one that I've kind of done with my builds has been Christian Walker at first base. Cobb struggles on the road. Walker's got a 421 average and a 455 WOBA in his career against him. So if you do want to look at a couple Diamondbacks against Cobb on the road where he's worse, I think you could go to him. Obviously, I just kind of talked about it, but Josh Naylor, both pitchers tonight for Kansas City can't get lefties out, so we like that. And Naylor's been very good against.
Naylor continues just to be nails. I mean, 91 RBIs now on the season. Nobody would have pegged Josh Naylor as a 100 RBI guy going into the year.
No, and I mean, if they would have, been called crazy.
Yes,
that's what would have happened. And then the one other one I think obviously Jose Abreu, we have to mention him, but the other one I do like a little bit, assuming he gets the lineup, and I think I'm going to steal your thunder with this one, but in your hashtag anybody against Jose Urena, I do like Dom Smith a good bit. Got the home run last night, hits righties very well
tonight, I believe. So
yep. So he's a very, very, very affordable piece of a lineup that gets arguably the worst pitcher on the slate.
Yeah, 100% all in on that call. I also like Ryan O'Hearn here a little bit.
Following his 9-hit performance last night.
Yeah, he's okay. Been pretty good. 5 hits last night, 23 fantasy points. Just keeps hitting. Hitting. I don't believe in Hunter Brown for this start here. I'm bouncing right back onto the O's this evening. So I could see some Ryan O'Hearn in some lineups, but definitely interested in running some Dom Smith in a lineup or two this evening. Moving on over to the second base position. Again, a lot of top end talent here. If we're doing double spend up, though, it's difficult to find any of these guys really in this range. I do like Gleyber Torres against Kikuchi at $4,400. But then it was, again, trying to sort of finding my way down for some value. Maybe Jaquan Bay could be a play. Luis Garcia hitting 6 tonight. So just some spots for me if we're doing the Snell Castillo thing. That's where we're going to have to live.
I wrote 2 second basemen down, knowing that where my builds have been with those high-end pitchers. I wrote 2 second basemen. One of them was Gleyber, which you already mentioned, and the other one is the cover boy of the Value Plays article, and Andres Jimenez. Again, Cleveland bats against those Kansas City right-handers, particularly the left-handed bats. are in a very good spot. And Jimenez has been pretty darn good of late. So 3,700 is a pretty affordable price tag for him.
Yeah, I love that call. And getting you right, Mark had him on the cover of his value article today. So good looks to you. 375, 890 OBS with a 500 slug over the last 10 games for Andres Jimenez. So a great shout for sure there. Over at the third base position, again, some top end plays in great spots. Riley gets the lefty for a little bit. Gunnar gets Hunter Brown, one of my favorite spots. Devers versus Eovaldi feels pretty strong as well. But can we find a way to get to him here on this slate?
Yeah, if you don't pay up for two starters, if you play Clark Schmidt, you sure can. You can get some of those. I think arguably, despite the top end talent that's here at this position, this is the one I've actually struggled with the most with the lineups that I've kind of done. Like, am I looking like down in the value of like Jordan Westberg, going up with him against like Hunter Brown? Do we just, if you're not playing Clark Schmidt, do you take Kevon Biggio and hope that he's the one bat that gets to Clark Schmidt in this game tonight?
I might play Vargas, honestly.
Yeah. I mean, third base to me is just the one I don't like. If I have the money to pay up, I'm probably just going to go Jose Ramirez because I want more Cleveland bats against. Yeah. You see a trend here. So the Cleveland bats against him, but otherwise, I think third base is like pay down and almost just complement one of your stacks. Like if it is Vargas, if you're going with the Washington stack, or maybe super contrarian, you're gonna stack Orioles maybe against Hunter Brown. I don't know how viable that is, but throw Jordan Westberg in there. Like, I mean, third base just seems like
Monasterio could be a play against the lefty here, so I could see him. He's hitting at the bottom of their lineup, but at $3,100 could be a good spot for him there for sure. Trying to see.
I mean, maybe Bobby Dahlbeck. He is third base too. I mean,
yeah,
if you want to go
with him. 2 hits last night and a double. So, and we know that Eovaldi throws fastballs, and that's basically all that Dahlbeck can hit. So, don't hate that call. Shortstop again, top end talent. Hard to argue with Turner Seager. Really like Seager. If I could get him in my lineup, I would. Tanner Houck again, guy that kind of struggles a little bit against lefties. Dansby Swanson against Bailey Falters at 52, and then I'm all in on Urena. So CJ Abrams at $4,800.
Yep, Abrams is my top guy here. If I have the money, which I haven't in any lineup I built, I've gone up to Bobby Witt Jr. and Corey Seager. But when push comes to shove and you actually got to get under the budget, the amount they give you, I've really just locked in on CJ Abrams. Such a good spot for him. Jose Urena is so bad.
He hasn't had an ERA under 5 since 2018. His FIP is at 10, and it's not even like a regression thing. He's just that bad this year. He's allowing a 700 slugging percentage to both lefties and righties.
That's pretty tough to do.
That's impossible to do. 700 slugging percentage is T-ball. If you gave me T-ball, I'd probably have a 700 slugging percentage.
Yeah.
That's how bad it is. So
also at shortstop, I will say, although, he sometimes it seems like he hits the ball with like a plush bat instead of anything else. Tim Anderson's hot of late, and when you look at our player projections and ownership, there's a lot of ownership coming in on the White Sox just because Jackson Rutledge was so bad in that first start. It's more so lefties that got to him, but I mean, at this point,
if you remember yesterday's show, Tim Anderson was the highest projected rostered shortstop, and I didn't understand why, and he goes out there and gets 4 hits.
Yep.
So, you could run it right back with some White Sox tonight if you want. Game stack that one if you want. It's fine. I'm in for sure. Let's see. Anything other? Mason wins on here. Nothing really standing out to me for some value. Yeah. Volpe against a lefty, maybe 37. That's about it.
Yeah, there's not much here, to be honest.
Really not. All right, outfield. Acuna, Betts, the whole crew up here. Talk to me about your favorite targets in the outfield position.
Yeah, for me, I think I'll step down from that top tier. Give me Kyle Tucker against Kyle Gibson. But Tucker will win the matchup of the Kyles there.
Yeah.
Tucker's solid against righties. Gibson's had his struggles against lefties. I think Houston's going to put some runs up on the board. So I do like Kyle Tucker a little bit. If you don't play Bellinger at first base, I talked about him. Lefty doesn't really phase him. I do like him. Although Luis Robert's been better against lefties. I mean, if you're game stacking, you can't do it without Luis Robert. It's just, it doesn't matter. Even if it's not a lefty, you have to do it. So of the top end guys in that like 5,000 and above, those are kind of the ones I've been pinpointing the most.
Sure. Below 5K, I like Lane Thomas again, just stacking against Urena. Feels just like the way I want to build lineups tonight. Said Mole against Brown feels good to me as well. Santander, just keeping with the Baltimore stack there against Brown, works. Seiya gets a lefty. Good split for Seiya against left-handed pitching this year. And you get that win potentially blowing out.
Mm-hmm.
Where are you in the mid-tier?
Yeah, go down a little bit. Leody Taveras at 3,500 is interesting. I don't mind him there at that price point. Mark Canha finally slowed down a little bit. Only got us 8 points the night before. So, I'm still fine with going with him because he's leading off again. So he's in a very good spot. And then I had one more. Where did and Jurickson Profar, he's down at 3,200. So I don't mind him going up against a righty as, again, San Diego's in another good spot. No figure.
Sure. I like that. I mentioned Jaquan Bay at second base, but he's got outfield eligibility as well. Nelson Velasquez against Allen and a lefty could be a play, as is Edward Olivares, two guys in Kansas City. I know Kansas City's lineup has not hit lefties well, just looking overall at the numbers, but individually, those are a couple guys that have had success against left-handed pitching at times this season, so could see them maybe string some of that together. Tyrone Taylor's hitting 6 tonight against a lefty. He's someone that's generally hit lefties for some power. I mentioned Kevin Biggio's hitting cleanup. That's just how desperate Toronto is. Their need for guys against lefties. So some decent pure punts down here. Sheets it's at 2,600.
Yeah, Sheets is a good one, right? And then Heston Kjerstad right there too. I believe Kjerstad's home run, I'm pretty sure, was off Tyler Glasnow.
Sure.
I think.
I'm not sure.
I'll look it up. I'm pretty sure that was the case. But if he's going to do that,
yeah, it was.
It's a good match.
No, his off day came against Glasnow. So.
Oh, then it was Eflin that he homered off of.
Yeah.
It was
homered on the Friday start. So, interesting. So yeah, listen, I'm fine with Kjerstad. That's not a bad spot again. I'm against Hunter Brown. So give me $2,600 Kjerstad there in the outfield. I'm good.
Yep.
What's your home run call for the evening here, sir?
My home run call for the evening, I will go with Kyle Tucker.
Kyle Tucker. And here I thought you were going to go with the Cleveland lefty. I was
thinking about it.
I did Lane Thomas on the Better Sports Betting Show plus 550, so I'll stay consistent with that there. My favorite stack of the day will be Washington. There'll be your value stack. Where are we on our top stack tonight, Colby? What's the top overall stack of the evening?
Ooh, I'm kind of torn between Washington and Cleveland.
Okay.
Trying to go through these other games, and they're not jumping off the page as much.
Yeah, when it came to game total, that Washington White Sox game had a 10.5 total.
That feels like an over spot.
Yeah, I would agree with you. Cubs against Falter is pretty good.
Yeah.
Houston obviously gets Kyle Gibson. That's a pretty decent stack. So will be interesting to see where the rostership ends up going this evening for teams. Let's see what we can pull up here.
You'll see a ton of White Sox if you're going to look over at our projected ownerships.
Yeah, White Sox obviously got to be right there. Let's see. Overall, let's see. White Sox. Yeah, White Sox aren't bad. Let's see. What do we else have? We had Cubs. Everybody on the Cubs is cheap. Strider. Actually, we just got an update. Strider is around 30%, so people are now getting to Strider. So still Blake Snell at 42%. Castillo getting dumped down a little bit more. So a recent update there has more
Take
people.
That.
Or people on Spencer here this evening. Where's all the rostership going as I click around per team here? It feels like there's a pretty even sense because I think it has to do with the fact that everybody's looking to spend up at pitching. There's no dominant hitter stack out there this evening. So
or if there is, it's super expensive. Like Atlanta takes up your whole budget just to get a couple of their hitters.
Washington actually has a handful of guys up over 10%. So that could really just be it this evening. People are using that as their value to help get some of those guys into your lineup. So let's go build. Let's see what we can do. Snell Castillo gives us 3,500. I think we have to use Mark's call out of Milas here at 26. I like the Kjerstad play because that's cheap enough. Is it her? How do we spell this here?
KJ.
What is it?
KJ.
KJ. There we go. He's also 26. Now we have 3,800. What did we have?
You want to get, Josh Naylor at first for 43? Or you want to go Dom Smith and keep with the Washington?
No, let's do Naylor here. I like that call.
Jimenez?
Where is he? There's Naylor. Am I blind? There he is. 43. Yeah, Jimenez. Third base, we do Vargas here.
Yep.
Shortstop, we do Abrams. Where is he? Where's Abrams?
48.
Okay, so we have 3,700 for two outfielders. Canna, 4K gives us, let's see. You love O'Hearn. I like O'Hearn there. So that gives us an extra $500 to play around with if we wanted to. If we wanted to find a way to spend $500. What did that get us? Anything? I get us Walker. Gets Christian Walker. You like Christian Walker?
Yeah, I don't mind him.
Would you rather Naylor? Actually, let's keep the Cleveland stack.
I would keep the Cleveland stack.
Let's keep the Cleveland stack together here. Will this get us a top? Nah, not really. Gets us Bichette, but I kind of still want to stick with that. Was there a 3K outfielder? Not really. Okay, we'll keep it where we're at then. We'll keep Herkstad there. We got $500 to play with. You don't have to always spend all the money. So can live there. Snell, Castillo, Milas, Naylor, Jimenez, Vargas, Abrams, Herkstad, Canna, and O'Hearn. If we wanted to double spend, you want to build a Schmidt lineup, we'll knock out Castillo here.
Yeah, let's go. The try one was Snell and Schmidt.
Plenty of money left over here if this is the route that we want to go. So we can move off of Herkstad. You liked Kyle Tucker. I still liked Lane Thomas. So without even really adjusting the lineup too much, we can get Tucker and Thomas in our lineup here.
So that would give us a full-blown Washington stack, a mini Cleveland stack, and then one-offs of Canna and Tucker.
Yep, we're using Snell and Schmidt, which I'm still pretty happy when it comes to that lineup.
Yeah.
So just a couple ideas. What are you thinking, Colby? You got any other pivots you want to make here?
Now I'm just curious. Now, if we leave Schmidt, but if we bump Snell up to Strider, now we're 2,100 over. Where would we have to go from here? We probably have to drop one of the outfielders.
Yeah, so we can drop them both. Gives us two 4K guys if we wanted to sort of combine.
Oh, so then we're right back to that same thing of like Kerstad and.
Yeah, we can do Seiya here. And then 4K. Was there like another Cubby that we liked at all? Let's see. Not really. We can, if we plug Canna in at that, you get any additional money to go anywhere? Not really. Doesn't really do too much. Again, you can leave some money on the board, but can definitely still get. I mean, we like Seiya, we like Canna, so you can certainly still play Schneider here and just kind of move some of these guys around. So not bad spot.
No, I don't mind. I think when you look at, I think it's one of those things of like, if you're going to do like Schmidt with one of the top guys, your lineup doesn't change all that much. It's just going to be, maybe you have to drop one to just pivot like from there. But I mean, ultimately, regardless of whatever iteration of this lineup that we've really done, we've pretty much stayed steady with some sort of a couple Washington bats, a couple Cleveland bats, and then our one-offs have been the big studs.
Yeah.
I think that's what we've kind of done.
Yep, I would agree with you here. So again, just an example lineup we put out. Justin Vreeland's on your playbook. That's available to everybody over on Fantasy Alarm. Now, if you're not yet a member of the Fantasy Alarm family, you can go ahead and click the QR code here on the screen or click the link in the description. Go to fantasyalarm.com/win. Get a 7-day free trial when you sign up, which means you'll get all of our content all week for free, including our NFL DFS content here. We had a great week too. A couple of years ago, week 3, we had $1 million winner. The year before that, in week 3, we had a $500,000 winner. So Howard Benner seems to warm up and hit big in week 3 with his playbook. So scan the QR code or go to fantasyalarm.com/win. Get your 7-day free trial. Today, Colby and I, when are you on next, Colby? I think James Grodney's back Thursday. So is this the last time for now that you're making an appearance?
I believe so. I think I'm getting put on the injured list, which will end my season here for the live stream.
Well, so. If we have to call you up, we'll bring you back. But it's been a great time having you on the show. Appreciate you stepping in, sir.
Absolutely. Always a pleasure.
Always. All right, guys, get us in Discord. Colby's in there. Find us on Twitter. You know where to get us, and we'll catch you all later.